welcome to Real Gardens, where each week we're out in the garden, sharing in all the hard work with our group of amateur gardeners. This week, Carol Klein is up to her knees in mud with police officers Adrian and Debbie. Ann-Marie Powell is getting all creative with sticky-back plastic in Lisa's garden in Harrow. And I'm running around with Bryony, bringing a little bit of Versailles to her Norfolk garden. This narrow, cluttered back garden in Harrow belongs to Lisa Jacobson and her family. Lisa has been here for 18 months, but she's had little chance to get to work on her garden because she's always busy chasing after her two young children, Sophia and Grace.
Boom! To work in the garden with the children is virtually impossible. You can't do a single thing. But I don't tend to do anything that would take my mind off her, because obviously it can be dangerous. Sophia, do you want to come and help me here? If I have an area where they can play, then I can get on with some gardening, because I know that they're safe, and I really would like it to be just bright, colourful, safe and fun.
Last time Ann-Marie was here, the two of them were in demolition mode, clearing the end of the garden in preparation for the children's play area. What remained was a tatty old shed.
Yeah.
While we've been away, Lisa and her sister Suzanne have been busy, clearing the junk from the garden to the dump and attempting to move the shed.
I'm not the sort of woman that will tackle things all by herself. I do need some sort of guidance. I'm a bit weak and feeble when it comes to sort of manual labour. So I do need some... I'm not afraid to do it, but I need some instructions. I need pointing in the right direction, etc.
They eventually managed to move the shed onto the lawn in time for Ann-Marie's visit today, to make it easier to do it up and to repair the foundations. All Lisa has to do now is sell the idea to Ann-Marie.
We've had deliveries all week with the AstroTurf and flooring. It's been quite exciting, so we've got lots of work to do.
I must let you know that my carpentry skills are absolutely rubbish.
Yeah. Well, between us we can knock something up, I reckon.
I think that's going to be...
It can't be too difficult, really. It's quite small. My favourite is this, full of clematises.
Wow!
Very kitsch and very fun.
Nellie
and,
Moser.
Yeah,
she gets everywhere, actually. We used to say she was a bit of a brazen hussy.
Well, that suits perfectly then.
That's
really
going to be brilliant, isn't it?
Fantastic, yeah.
But as always, before the fun bits, we can't resist a bit more destruction. We want to turn the shed around by 90 degrees, so we need to rearrange the foundations to fit, making sure they're level.
So if we put this brick in here now, hopefully it'll be fairly flat. See if we're going to need to pack that up a bit, so that's the level there.
Now we've got the base the right shape, we need to create a flat surface by filling in the cracks with some earth.
Do you know what? I reckon we should get this door off.
OK.
So get unscrewing.
Work out how to use this. No way, come here.
Hey.
What we want to do is to move the door to what will now be the front of the shed.
Off she comes.
And out she comes. We need a bit of carpentry action going on here, don't we?
Yeah,
New
how
door.
on earth are we going to do that?
Well,
To make the new door frame, we need a pair of 3x2 timber battens, which Lisa's brother David has picked up for us. With the amount of work ahead of us, we need all the help we can get.
Lovely. I've worked out that this is 6 inches wider than our door, so we need to make a new frame out of bits of 3x2.
Which we've prepared earlier.
So they'll sort of slot in there.
Yeah.
We'll hammer them into this, and then we'll nail these bits of shiplap onto here.
Yeah.
And then we can hang our new door. So that's the theory.
The shed leans to one side, so with David pulling it upright, we can fix the door frame into position. The frame will also help brace the shed, making it sturdier and straighter.
Perfect.
Once we've screwed the new door posts into position and attached the lapboard to them, we can cut out the middle section. Fortunately, David comes complete with an electric jigsaw, and he knows how to use it.
Right, mate, do you want to tidy up your messy edges?
And moments later, the new doorway is complete.
Marvellous!
After blocking up the old doorway, we're ready to move the shed into its new permanent position. Luckily for us, Lisa's sister Suzanne has turned up again just in time to help lug the shed into its new position. She only popped in for a cup of tea. So, It's bend the knees, not the back. You right, Lisa?
Let me out, let me out.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right, got a job. You see these panels here? We need to cut out some marine ply all the way over there and then line it with those clematis sticky back panels that you've got. So I've drawn out the side here and there's these two panels here.
Yep.
So you need to measure it and then cut it down to size.
Okay.
Me and Dave are going to get on the roof and sort that out.
Lovely.
All right.
Okay.
The marine ply panels will give us the flat surface we need for the sticky back plastic.
Here is 42 inches.
This AstroTurf is fab. It doesn't matter if it gets wet and it comes in a range of funky colours. It's not cheap and it can be hard to get. We got ours mail order from a sports equipment supplier. Lisa's marine ply panels are marked out and ready to cut. Sadly, there's more jigging than sawing.
Oh no, what have I
Look at
done?
it. You see in the middle there's a
What do
little...
you think?
These are nice. I've
They're
not
great,
seen these
aren't they?
before. Where'd
Yeah.
you get them from?
Wheelie Bin Cover Company.
Okay,
Great,
so
aren't they?
what do we do? Have to stick it down or?
Yeah. Bang in the middle about there.
Yeah, you two look like struggling. Why don't you use that to just spray?
Slide it, okay. Right, next. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Great top tip, well done. What do we do without you?
Oh, I do this every day, you know.
We can
Wow.
tape it under.
Do you know what? I didn't think it'd go on flat. I was convinced it wouldn't. So all you need to do now is get some nice offcuts and put it around the side.
Yeah, we know, yeah. We did think about that. We weren't planning to leave it like this.
It makes a mad impact immediately.
Certainly makes a statement.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of statement.
At last the shed is really coming together. There's just a few finishing touches to go.
Hey, the door transplant has been successful.
First, some child-friendly perspex in the windows, then brightly coloured window boxes,
They're going to love this, aren't they? It's groovy.
and finally some polyanthus and beaded curtains to complete the picture.
I can't believe it.
No, all in one day. All this work
Done.
done. Fantastic.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have got it done if your brother and sisters hadn't
No,
have turned up, would
yeah.
we? So did you do this for the kids or for you?
A bit of both, I think.
Bryony Jacqueline is an obsessive gardener. Since moving into their family house in North Norfolk, she's made a garden out of what was 3 acres of rough grass. Bryony has created a whole range of beds and borders in the garden using plants that either she propagates herself or else acquires by more resourceful methods. On my last visit, I helped to improve the look of her driveway with native Alexanders from the local vicarage. I have to say, I didn't really think they were going to take.
Well, come and have a look at this. You said it couldn't be done.
That's extraordinary. So a week later, there are signs of distinct growth.
Yeah. Cutting off the top that did it.
All right, you win.
Let's go and have a look at this roundel.
Now, what is a roundel?
Well, it's going to go here.
I don't know where it's going to go. What is it?
Oh, well, for you non-visual people, I've got a plan.
I am not a non-visual person. God, you know how to ruin someone. Now, which bit is the actual roundel?
Just this bit. This is kind of phase 1, which is the backdrop to it. And I've completed this, which is a dogwood hedge. And then this is there's a focal point right at the end, which is a
Alright.
wild cherry. And these are wildflower beds, which we're going to come back to another time. So for today, I just want to mark the whole lot out and take out the central bed. I'm not going to ask you to dig it all.
I know you have this idea as this bloke who comes once a week to do the digging.
If only.
Right, so we measure it out with this, do we?
Make a big compass.
We're using a cane to mark the centre of the circular bed, which according to Bryony should measure 6 foot across.
Have you thought about this long and hard?
For 2 whole years, I've
Really?
been mulling this one over.
So 6 foot. 1,
I'll get some
2,
canes.
3, 4, 5, 6. Now, my feet are exactly a foot long, I bet. So that is 6 foot dead there.
Actually, Monty, that makes that 12.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well. 1.
I never could count. Well, with Bryony keeping a watchful eye on my counting, we can mark out the widths of the alternating beds and pathways.
3 and a bit.
I bet you were good at ballet as well.
Couldn't you tell?
Brownie's ideas have been inspired by the historic gardens of European country houses dating back to the 16th century. So we're actually bringing our own bit of Versailles to Norfolk, even though it may not look as I'm exerting myself.
Voila.
So you walk in here, walk round here.
Well, go like this, you see.
Do we have to trot?
It's running.
It's a running
It's a little
garden.
running
okay.
action. Well, that works all right.
Now, all we have to do is lift the turf. Luckily for us, Brownie's son Christopher is home from school.
You want a hand?
Yeah.
If you're willing, put this.
Cutting the turf by hand is harder work than hiring in a machine to do it, but it's cheaper and far more accurate.
So you'll keep these and stack them face to face,
Yeah.
like that, in a big stack. And in a couple of years, just slice down it. It makes lovely potting compost.
Yeah, you just need somewhere out of the way where you can forget about them.
As the grass is slowly replaced by the bare earth underneath, Brownie's design starts to become more apparent. Many hands make light work, and it's not long before we're ready to bring on the box cuttings that Brownie has propagated for the centre bed.
OK, what sort of space here?
Well, I'd quite like this kind of staggered.
Right, so we're looking at what, 9-inch or 6-inch
Oh,
space?
it's 6.
OK, about like
We've
that.
got plenty to go at.
OK. Like that?
Perfect.
Right. And this in the middle?
Yeah, he's going to go into a cone when he's a big boy.
OK, yeah. Now, are these Horticultural or sempervirens?
Sempervirens. So they're going to get quite bushy.
Yeah, how high do you want them to be?
Oh, about 12, 15 inches. So it's a nice, thick,
So,
architectural little hedge.
yeah, I mean, it's going to need clipping quite a lot, isn't it? to
Well,
keep
it'll
it
be a
that
twice-a-year job, yeah.
Make more work for yourself.
I don't believe in low-maintenance gardening. It's fun. It's a good way to keep fit.
That's as much as we can do to the roundel at the moment, because the plants for the surrounding beds are still in their seed trays and won't be ready till May.
Now, these are some of the things I'm going to put in the roundel, and they're just about ready for pricking off.
Oh, they are tiny though, aren't they?
So it's a mega production here to cover that surface
What's
area.
this?
This is clary. This isn't ready.
It isn't actually. It hasn't got true leaves, has it?
No.
Most seedlings shouldn't be pricked out until they've got 2 pairs of leaves.
Hang on.
And these little ones,
This is calamint,
tiny.
but ready.
Yeah, but ready, OK. And here, which you have prepared dutifully, is a seed tray, and we'll just prick these out.
Yeah.
What do you use for pricking?
A little paintbrush.
I use my knife.
Well, I just cut the roots off with that.
Well, oh, look at the roots on that. Tiny, but perfectly good roots. So we're just taking these, holding them by the leaf, gently easing them in, nice and deep, and don't foam them in. That's the crucial thing, isn't it? Now, this compost has got a bit of sharp sand in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, and a bit of grit added as well.
You don't add any nutrients at all at this stage?
No. This is the one job that my mother still helps me with, and it's lovely. We can spend an afternoon together.
You need a radio programme, you need the rain beating down outside, and more delicate fingers than I've got. Now, will you prick all these out?
Well, I think I'm going to need a couple of hundred, so I will, because there are bound to be some losses along the way. And these are perennials, so I'm looking for, you know, early start, so they'll flower this year.
That's an awful lot of seed trays with composting.
Yeah, well, you only buy them once, seed trays, and I'm very lucky that compost is always a birthday present, just at the right time of year.
It's your birthday on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, we'll just wait there for a moment. We've got a little present for you.
No!
We've got you.
A Monty's mag!
It's a magnolia.
That's fabulous! I don't know what to say. Oh, quite overcome.
After the break, Carol is back in Devon, wading about in rubber with Adrian and Debbie.
Welcome back. If you've got a young tree in the garden, it's really important
to clear all growth around it. Now, one way of doing that is, of course, to spray with a weed killer, but I don't use weed killers, and there's just as an effective method. What you need to do is take the turf out around it, just lift it off, careful you don't chop through the tree, to a reasonable way all round it. Clear it of all weeds. The bare soil means that all the rain and the goodness is going to go into that tree, and it's going to grow twice as fast as a result. But if you leave it bare soil, the weeds will start growing again, the grass will grow in, and you're back to square one. So what I do is use a suppressing mat, which you can buy from any garden centre, but don't use black polythene, because that will stop the weeds all right, but it will also stop the water going through. Whatever you put down must be porous. So if you put something over it, like bark or grass clippings, hay, straw, whatever you can get, that will be much nicer to look at, and the tree will grow twice as well as a result. Now, we're off to Dartmoor, where Adrian and Debbie have heeded Carol's advice that she left them with on our last visit, but they've added their own interpretation. Debbie and Adrian's bungalow has spectacular views and a steeply sloping garden. They both lead very busy lives in the police force, so gardening comes as a welcome relief to the couple, who spend as much time as they can outdoors.
Okay, I'm going to try and save it.
On her last visit, Carol discovered that their main bed had been planted up in cheap job lots. She came across nearly 30 of Adrian's favourite shrubs, buddleia. So she completely redesigned the 50-foot bed with a planting plan. They only got as far as replanting about a 1/16 of the bed, but they promised Carol they'd strip the rest of it out and have it replanted before her next visit.
We actually got on very well with the bed, didn't we, together, because...
Once we had agreed that you would decide where the plants were.
I did most of the planting and Adrian did most of the heavy work.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
They've kept to their promise and transformed this massive bed. They're happy with the results of their hard work. But what will Carol's verdict be?
Stand by. OK, open your eyes.
My God!
It's all done, you've done it!
I know.
Look at this fence! Have you had the entire Devon police force here doing this?
No, just me, Debbie.
And what amazes me is it's very like the plan. Let's have a look.
You can see how we've used the sways coming down the big groups of plants.
You really have. It's not
Yeah.
just a pretty picture, it actually
We
worked.
did actually use it, yeah.
I love this seat.
We're going to put some marjoram in there, so when you lean back, it's nice and smelly.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. We have lost a few things, as you can see.
What, these lavenders? Some of those at the back might be all right, and if not, this one's growing so happily, it's really going to join up with those others anyway, isn't it?
So...
I think it's wonderful, I really do. No, and yet I can't see a single buddleia.
Yes, there is.
There's one over there.
There it is.
There it is.
The one that got away. But we've got other things to do today, haven't we?
We have.
What's all this about getting in the water?
We're going to have to get in the water. We're going to want to clear the leak down.
Do we?
Yeah, we
Yes,
do.
we do.
I suppose we've got to get
Get
our
our
waders.
waders on.
Come on then, let's get going.
Adrian and Debbie clear the leak once a year in spring to stop it getting clogged up. I can see one thing you really got to get out straight away, and that's this hemlock water droplet.
Oh, golly.
This is one of the most poisonous plants in the country. Yeah, it is. And although it's a wild plant, I really think you ought to get it out and get rid of it if you possibly can.
I got a secret weapon.
All right.
That's going to help a lot, yeah.
Yeah, you should cover your skin because it can really irritate it badly. And this plant's responsible for more fatalities than any other indigenous plant. But they root all up the stem on every single leaf node. Did you mean to do that, Adrian?
Yes, I did. I can show you for a fact.
Come on. You all right?
Yeah, of course I'm all right.
Look, you didn't even get the roots out, honestly.
All that effort for nothing.
Yeah. Now get hold of a handful. This plant smells like celery, always grows close to water, with flat heads of white flowers in summer. Its common name is dead tongue because it paralyses your tongue if you eat it.
That's good. Hey, oh, lovely, look at that.
Yeah, that's what you want, the whole of the root to come out. There we go.
Yes.
Debbie's cutting back the nettles and brambles. They're an important habitat for wildlife, so she's only giving them a light trim. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Lovely. You're not wet, are you?
No, not a bit. Look how clear it looks now, it's brilliant.
I think it looks a bit bare. Can we look for a few things to plant as well?
We've got some things up in the bog garden and possibly the holding beds that we took out the big bed.
We found a clump of water-loving irises up near the pond, which we're going to plant into the leat. It's definitely Iris pseudochorus, isn't it? This wonderful golden flag, the big yellow one.
Yeah, that's right.
And it lives beside running water, so it should be ideal.
Right at home.
I think it's important to leave as much soil on as we can. The irises are a native plant, which is just as well, because non-native plants which spread downstream can be a menace to waterways. Should we take it right down there?
Yeah, I think that would be the best place down there.
Adrian's dam. I think one of these, you're right.
Yeah. I'm like a Capricorn, I'm like a goat.
How about here? Do you think that's a good place?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Right, just 2 things you've got to remember. First of all, those roots actually grow in soil. Yeah. So leave plenty of soil on the roots and try and make sure they're in real contact with whatever's underneath there.
Yeah.
And the second thing is you've got to find some way of stopping the whole thing floating off and going into your neighbour's garden or further down. Now, don't you think if you just
nestle it in?
Yeah, and then push it right down.
Oh, it looks like it's been there forever, look.
We're using some heavy stones to lodge the irises in place. They should grow to form a big clump, and they'll flower in late May to early June. Next, Adrian and Debbie want to improve the look of their Devon bank with some wildflowers.
Well, we've got all those primroses we dug up a couple of weeks ago. We've got those in the holding bed, so they'll be good. I've got some packets of wildflower seeds. Yeah. I thought maybe we could scratch them into the surface and let them self-seed.
Well, you could try, but I think you might find that there's a bit too much competition from all this rough grass and everything. I think you might be better off with those little wildflower plugs you can get from a specialist nursery.
Right.
But with a bit of luck, we might find enough stuff in your own garden. Adrian and Debbie's woodland area has lots of suitable meadow flowers, so Debbie and I are digging for some purslane and forget-me-nots. Meanwhile, Adrian raids his holding beds for some primroses. With our amphibious wheelbarrows stuffed with plants, we form a human chain and plant up our Devon bank. Since these are all wildflowers, they won't need any feeding.
That looks lovely.
Lovely, right in the water. Right, pretty damn good, eh?
Yeah.
Pretty good. So how often should I trim this cow?
Well, I think because these are all early flowering subjects, you trim just once in kind of late August.
Right.
And that way you'll help distribute the seed too.
Wonderful.
And before you know it, the whole bank will just be a mass of wildflowers.
Lovely.
Good stuff. Yeah, look forward to that.
That's it for this week. Next week, Carol will be roping in all Diana's family to help them blitz her vegetable patch before it gets too late. Anne-Marie is going to be walking the plank with Mike and Alison in the bog garden, and I'm here in the pond with Bryony, helping to protect her plants from predators. I'll see you then. Hello, welcome to Real Gardens. Well, it's been the wettest April since records began, but that won't have deterred real gardeners, and it certainly hasn't deterred us. This week, Anne-Marie is walking the plank with Mike and Alison.
Come on, let's plant a few.
Carol is practicing floral pest control in Diana's vegetable patch, and Bryony and I are stuck in the mud in her duck pond. This house in Stockport, and its rather muddy back garden, belonged to Alison Buckley and her fiancé Mike Woodall. They'll be moving in together after they get married next year. On her last visit, Ann-Marie Powell helped them to build a raised semicircular vegetable bed out of woven hazel rods. As Alison is a trained chef, a vegetable garden was high on her agenda. Since then, they've already planted it up and made a second matching wattle bed on the other side of the garden. This is the first time that Anne-Marie has seen the finished result.
These look absolutely stunning, don't they?
Yeah, they are.
Did it take you a long time to do this?
Well, actually, I didn't have anything to do with this. It was Mike and my dad. But
Right.
apparently they did this one properly and not slapdash like that one that you did.
Cheeky sod.
So apparently you did that all by the eye and not levelling it with a spirit level.
And anyway, you've got these potatoes here.
Oh, yes, planted these potatoes.
What's this sticking out here? What's that about? What is it? He hasn't planted them in the soil, has he? That's rubbish.
That's coming
What's
out.
he done? Has he planted them in the bags?
Yeah, we was panicking so much because we knew he was coming back and we didn't have enough time. So Mike said, we'll just drop the bags of compost with the tatties in.
And they won't notice.
And we'll put the soil around. You're not supposed to know that's there.
Where is he anyway?
He's at work, he's got to work today. Yeah, he's coming down later, so... And,
Right, I'll have him.
Yeah.
Before Mike gets back, Alison is keen to make a start on the wet and wild end of the garden.
Your muscles up to it?
Oh, definitely.
You can see that this area is really boggy and wet, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I know you wanted a seating area somewhere down here, so I've had to think of a way of actually getting you from here down to there. So I thought that we could maybe build a boardwalk.
A boardwalk? What's that?
Well, you know that song, Under the Boardwalk?
So you better stick to gardening. Oh, God.
But what it is really is it's a timber frame and it actually raises you above the ground. So you don't have to worry about all this boggy and uneven ground all around you. But there's tons of ways of doing it, so I've had to scratch my head a bit. And I think I've come up with a solution.
Right, yeah, brilliant.
And that's where your muscles come in.
Right, the
Come on.
pumping.
The plan is to make the boardwalk out of scaffolding planks cut in half. The planks will rest on these large logs, partially embedded in the ground.
So if you just grab one, I'll show you how we'll do it.
Do you want me to put this next
Put
to that?
this one next to that, yeah?
Yep.
Don't know if you'll
We'll
see
be
it.
laying the planks in pairs side by side,
look.
but at each junction we'll stagger them to create a slight curve up the garden.
Do you know what I mean? So it will wiggle
Oh,
up
right,
through
yeah.
like that. Can you see I've had the top cut off this timber? So literally you can just screw into a flat surface.
Right.
So, but this will really distribute the weight because it's quite heavy and it won't sink because it's long enough.
Right.
So it's quite nice, quite pleased with this.
Right.
First, we're going to work out our curving route by laying out single planks.
So where am I going then now?
I think you should go there.
Up here?
Yeah.
We could have used recycled timber. These planks are new, but they'll soon weather to a lovely silvery grey.
So if you come up here and have a look, I know they're a bit wonky, but can you see you've got that really elongated S kind of shape?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Just as the hard graft is about to start, the cavalry arrives in the form of Mike and his old friend John.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Get a kiss as well.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
All this lovely darling stuff.
Mike and John's first job is log lugging.
Whereabouts, Anne-Marie? Whereabouts do you want?
Just everywhere where two boards meet, basically.
These bricks.
While the boys lay each log in its place, I'm bedding in the first one at the bottom of the garden. This will determine the exact position of the others.
Here's that spirit level you wanted.
It's tiny,
It's
isn't
only
it?
a little one, I can't find a big one. Will it do you?
Each log needs to be level and firm, otherwise the walk will slope to the side and wobble.
Right?
Yep.
So we'll have to dig out and build up the uneven ground beneath each one until it's securely embedded.
Can I just ask you,
What?
are the planks being laid that way?
Yeah.
Because I always imagined a boardwalk that the planks would be laid that way.
Yeah, I mean, you can have it either way. It doesn't matter. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want. But this way, there's far less cuts, so it's quicker, and you've got much more sort of resonance as you come down here. I mean, it's pointing your way down into the garden, isn't it? What's resonance? That looks better, doesn't it?
It's time to bed in all the other logs and align the boards.
This way.
And your shoes get so hot, you wish your tired feet were fire.
Can you just help us line these up?
Yeah.
Just with your eyes.
Bit to John.
Each pair of planks must be kept straight
Yeah,
so
give
that
it
our
take
gentle
your time,
curve
Maxie,
takes
but-
shape as we
Right, that's
planned.
fine.
A little bit whoa, a little bit way. Yeah.
Is that all right?
Perfect, yeah.
The boards are all no longer than 6 foot to ensure the walk is pleasantly springy without being dangerously bouncy.
What do you think from up here?
I prefer a step. Take them last two planks out and put a step in.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's fine. So we'll lose these planks.
Go on now.
You smack it across.
Check that door.
This log will mark the beginning of our walk, so unlike the others, it'll look smarter if the planks are centred on it. It'll look even better with Mike's step.
Now, Alison, is it lined up? That's nice, isn't it, that bark there, right at
well,
the end.
isn't it?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, that is not going to get it any better than that.
Right, because we need a gap in between these planks, otherwise they'll warp, what we'll need to do is we can just move them apart there and then put this stick in, and that'll keep all the gaps the same. We can mark a line, so when we're screwing, we won't lose the lines. So if you go up there and start doing those, then you can drill behind, can't you?
Okay.
And I'll screw.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks.
We have to use screws because nails would work loose with all the bouncing. These screws are galvanised to avoid rusting. This boardwalk will be the perfect pathway through the jungly, bog-loving planting that Mike and Alison are planning, especially when it's weathered to a softer hue.
I reckon we should try it out, don't you?
You go first, Sam.
All right, then. It's good, isn't it?
Brilliant, Anne-Marie, yeah.
The only thing missing is, though, some really big, luscious bog planting, innit?
I'll have to get some.
Hey, does that mean we get a day out shopping?
Bryony Jacqueline spends every spare moment in her Norfolk garden. Her children also give her a hand from time to time, and she's constantly taking on new projects in her 3-acre plot. Fortunately, she can combine gardening with her role as carer for her musician husband Martin, who suffers from a debilitating spinal injury. Last time I was here, Bryony and I began the job of creating what she calls her roundel in the lawn alongside her driveway. And with the help of her son Christopher, we dug up the inner beds and began planting box in the centre circle.
Oh, you've done a lot more.
Yeah, it's all dug and ready.
No, I don't mean dug. I mean, you've added to it. There's more of it.
Yeah, it stood back at the end of the afternoon and it needed an extra ring.
You're power mad, you are. Crazy.
Dig mad.
Are we going to plant this today?
No, this is going to wait now. First flush of weeds will germinate, hoe them off, and then we're going to have a look at the pond today.
OK, what are we going to do in the pond?
Well, a lot of weeds to come out and things to go in.
Bryony's pond is in a low-lying area of the garden, which floods naturally. When she moved in, it was just a boggy area surrounding a willow, which she's enlarged and transformed into a proper pond. Now it's time for a spring clean.
Is this the best time to do this?
I think it's a wee bit early, but there's a duck sitting on a clutch of eggs, and she's about to hatch any day. She won't mind me pottering now, but she will do when they all hatch.
So the first job is to remove the weed, is it?
Yeah, it normally dies down in the winter, but it's been so mild, it's become a bit of a nuisance, really.
Well, I hope I look as fetching as I think you're going to look, wearing those. She told me, she said that my bum looks big in this. Whereas when I put mine on, I will start a fashion craze. How about that?
Oh, I think mine belonged to someone else.
Do you normally wear rubber? Is that... How deep is it?
Actually, it's not very, it's a thick layer of sludge on the bottom.
So what is this weed?
I don't know, it's some kind of willow herb.
Do you compost this?
Yeah, I do. Well, first I let the bugs crawl out, so we'll leave it here for a little while. All these little nymphs.
How long does it take them to crawl back in?
Well, a few hours.
Right.
But they're all part of a greater food chain. You don't want to...
No, I'm not anti-nymphs at all. I like a nice young nymph.
Oh, look at this.
That looks like a turd.
It's a water lily. It's growing.
Water lily, it is.
Yeah.
I've never grown a water lily in my life.
Well, you haven't got a pond, have
No.
you? No.
I failed to see the attraction of a pond. You know, watching a few beetles scum around on a bit of scummy water is not my idea of fun.
I think you're being a bit rude now, but the
Okay,
dragonflies, they're this big.
I like really big ponds. I mean, you could make this twice the size, couldn't you?
Actually, I'd love to start again with the knowledge I've got now. I found that one of the hardest things was to think on this huge scale, because I had a tiny garden in London.
Bryony clears her pond out 3 or 4 times over the summer, and although we've made it all muddy, in a few hours the mud will have settled again.
OK. We've
Right.
emptied it. Now what are you going to put in? What have we got?
Got some lovely things here.
Well, it didn't look very lovely to me.
This is really interesting.
Are you trying to tell me that that looks lovely?
It's Phragmites, the Norfolk breed. For some strange reason, the rhizomes clean the water.
Not only is it lovely, but
It's
it is
really-
virtuous as well.
So I'm going to cut this up.
What else you got?
Well, this is Glyceria.
Right.
It's the same effect.
Yeah.
And then we've got a deep water one. This is a water hawthorn. These leaves float on the surface, so you've got to try and get the level right for that one.
Okay.
All these plants have to cope with ducks trampling over them, so they need to be secured if they're to become established.
So where are we going to put these?
Well, I think birds will appreciate a bit of cover here, and you can feel it's quite shallow.
So just up against the bank, like that?
Yeah, if they're half in and half out, then they'll always stay moist.
And just pin them with these?
Yeah, literally peg them in.
Yes, that does work. I like that. Do you think she's going to tolerate me getting so close? Probably.
She's not really fussing at all. She's a good girl.
Bryony wants to use Glyceria, the striped manna grass, to help prevent the ducks from treading down the banks.
You see, we're quite shallow again here.
Oh, right up here, yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Big hole.
I want to plant this one directly in.
Okay.
So,
in there?
Yeah, anywhere along here would be fine.
Did you puddle this when you made it?
What do you mean puddle it?
Put clay all over it?
No, it's...
So what's stopping it just drain away?
It's actually spring-fed from the corner, so once it was dug, it just literally filled up.
Do you want to split that?
Well, we could do. Could actually get 3 out of that, but I think with the disturbance of the ducks, it'd be better as one.
But you're right, we want the weight. Now what we're going to do is stick this through the middle, like that, aren't we?
Yeah, like an
so
anchor.
It'll sit in the ground without pinning it to it, and you won't see any of that in the water. Okay.
Do you want another stick, or is one enough?
No, that's fine. That's absolutely great. That's it.
Right.
That's in place.
Lovely.
The water hawthorn needs to be raised up on a log so that its leaves can reach the surface.
It's surprisingly floaty. That's on the bottom now.
Okay.
Right, we've got the gravel on top, of course, to stop the ducks and the fish nibbling away at the roots.
Provided the ducks don't knock it over, the water hawthorn will have white flowers by the autumn.
Hello. So this is the bog garden.
Yeah, it's just starting to perk up.
Yeah,
a
it
bit
is,
now.
isn't it? But the calthas look fantastic.
Yeah, they're lovely.
I like the ligularia. Is that Desdemona?
Yes, it is.
And what's under here?
Gunnera. Now, this poor thing has been disturbed by the ducks, and it's just been caught by the frost.
I always thought Norfolk was a warm place.
It is.
It's not. It's bitter. It's freezing.
Never normally like this.
You use straw. I use fleece. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, you buy fleece. I have straw.
Free. Because I know a lot of people find it difficult to get hold of straw.
Yeah, well, anything would
But
do.
the important thing is to keep it covered until all frost has passed.
Yeah.
I can tell you, next time I'm not coming if it's cold.
No,
I should just
well,
stay in bed.
I don't want you to come because we're going to think about summer next time.
Really? What are you going to do?
We're going to look at grasses and make a summer meadow.
Summer meadow. Cool.
Right, carrots or beetroot, madam?
After the break, it's time to sort out the vegetable patch with
These
Carol and
carrots.
Diana and their little band of helpers.
Thank you very much indeed.
Welcome back. At this time of year, the weeds are growing faster than anything, and if you're an organic gardener like I am, there's nothing else you can do about it but just hand weed. And I use a hoe a lot. This is a Dutch hoe which just slices through the weeds. But it will only do that if it's kept sharp, and I always carry a file with me whenever I hoe, and just every few minutes, just sharpen it up like a knife, and then it will cut through the weeds really well. There are a number of different types of hoes you could use. This is quite good because it's got 3 edges, and that means you can get in there amongst the plants and delicately work around them. But if you've got plants that you really value and they're very close together, I find this one's really good. It's an American one. It's called a circle hoe. And the cutting edge is there, and you work it like that, pulling it towards you, And because of this outer ring, nothing else but the weeds inside are going to get cut. Now, Carol is off to Felixstowe, where she's seeing Diana, Harold, plus a few members of her family. Diana is a retired teacher, but she's always busy, whether it's working in her garden or looking after her granddaughters, who love spending time with her.
Look, Tess, that's a plant, those long ones, but that's a weed.
On her last visit, Carol helped Diana make a path through her woodland area with bark chippings and timber stepping stones. It's helped to create a magical playground for the girls.
They love it. They love that path. Pushchairs have gone round, the wheelbarrow's gone round, the children have gone round. I don't feel too precious about my garden. They can do what they like because, of course, I love them desperately. So if something gets broken off, it'll come again next year. I'm not too worried about it.
Since Carol was last here, Diana has started work on the paths around her vegetable patch. She's enlisted the help of her son Conrad and her daughter Becky, who spent most of their Easter break shifting hardcore, but then they're used to being called in to help with the heavier work in their mum's garden.
If you come round to visit, she's normally in the garden as opposed to in the house. She calls it pottering.
Pottering. Apart from the bits we do, quite stressful, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, hard work that is.
With the new paths done, Diana and Carol can now get on with planting into the vegetable beds. But first, they're digging in lots of well-rotted manure.
Lovely muck.
Look at that. Super.
I mean, this is the whole idea of these deep beds, that you just take out a spit of soil, break up that subsoil,
yes,
and then incorporate any bulky organic matter, and it's going to give your vegetables this fantastic deep root run. We're putting back the topsoil that we removed earlier, being careful not to dig it in, so that the rich manure remains at a deeper level and will draw the roots down once Diana has planted her vegetables. Now, you won't be able to plant in this for at least a week, maybe a little longer. These deep beds mean no compaction, never ever walk on it, just let it get on with it. So all those little air pockets will just have to gradually disappear and settle. Diana's got one bed which she prepared a couple of weeks ago, which is now ready for planting, surrounded by its new path. What a difference it makes! They must have taken you forever.
They did.
They're very aristocratic looking paths, aren't they?
Oh, they are. Suitable for you. So, what are you going to plant where?
Well, that beautiful bit there is for the more delicate things.
The fine tilth.
The fine tilth. And I want to put some potatoes in.
Right.
And because it's a deep bed, I can put quite a lot in.
You can put them very close together. That's the great advantage of deep beds. They can be really intensively cultivated. Let's go and have a look what you've got.
Yes. You're not going to be ever so thrilled, I'm afraid.
Not all of Diana's seedlings have been successful, but her beetroot and carrots look very hopeful. Right, carrots or beetroot, madam?
I think beetroot.
Yeah. Leave those there for now. If you can get them out of those modules, theoretically it's
easy.
It's a cinch. Diana's sown her beetroot in multiples of 5 or 6 into the modules. We're planting them in a clump, not bothering to thin them out. They'll simply jostle for space. Well, you've grown these beautifully.
Well, it's a good
You
job I've
really
grown
have.
something beautifully, isn't it?
So what we're going to do next, the carrots?
Yes.
Long carrots tend to fork if they come into contact with manure, but these patio carrots are small and round, and the roots will stay close to the surface. It's really important with carrots that you minimise any sort of bruising of the stems or leaves, because it's the smell that attracts the carrot fly.
I've heard that you can put boards up at the sides because they fly low and don't get the scent.
You can do all sorts of things. Physical barriers are the best. Mesh or fleece.
Yes.
Special sort of agri-fleece that you plonk on the top. Next into the bed are seed potatoes. Diana's encouraged them to sprout by chitting them, leaving them in a cool, light place for about 6 weeks. We've dug a trench about 8 inches deep, and we're adding a bit of extra muck to increase the yield. Now, pass us a spud, Luce. Thank you.
How many do you think we'll get in this trench?
About 4. sprouty end up. As long as your sprouts up, you're OK. These are first earlies, aren't they?
Yes, these are Pentland Javelin.
Right, well, we're not very early, but I think we're in time. And they'll give you a crop of really good new potatoes.
Which is all I'm after, not too many.
Yeah, just a few delicious ones.
Delicious. Straight out of the ground, into the pot.
So this should be a little raised because we've put all that extra muck underneath. And then, as the potatoes develop and you start to see the shoots, protect them by earthing them up a bit more and they won't go green. The organic way to control pests is to use companion planting. The theory is that these chives will not only look pretty around the vegetable bed, but the smell will deter the dreaded carrot fly from attacking Diana's crop. Here come the girls with the flowers. Wonderful.
Now, I've got these tagetes. They're not my favourite flower.
No, they're not terribly you, are they?
No, but they have this wonderful smell, don't they, that puts bugs off.
The marigold's large open flowers will also attract hoverflies, whose larvae are predators of a gardener's #1 enemy, the aphid. Come on, girls. Never mind passing them. Come on, let's plant a few. That's it. Put your trowel down and use your hands. Put them in all along the edge. That's it. And then those pretty flowers are actually going to stop all these nasty bugs chomping on your nun's potatoes. Well, what a fantastic job you've done. That's absolutely brilliant.
That's all we've got time for this week, and we shan't be back next week because you're getting a double dose of Brookside. But in a fortnight's time, we'll be back as normal when Anne-Marie is going to go shopping for plants with Lisa at the RHS show at Westminster. And Carol is getting all fruity with Adrian and Debbie down in Devon. And I'll be back here with Bryony, who's throwing things at me, where we're making a wildflower meadow. I'll see you then. Hello, it's been a bit slow coming, but spring is finally here and I love it. And we're going to be sharing it as ever with real people in their real gardens. This week, Carol Klein is talking birds and bees with Adrian and Debbie.
Like that. Elegant. Yeah.
Ann-Marie Powell is with Lisa on a spring shopping binge. And I'm doing some seasonal sewing with Bryony Jacklin. Lisa Jacobson took on her tiny Harrow garden when she and her husband Dominic bought the house 18 months ago. With 2 young children, Lisa doesn't get much time for gardening, but she does want to turn the plot into a child-friendly space that the family can enjoy. With Anne-Marie's help, she's already opened up the garden and transformed what was a rotten old shed.
The last time Anne-Marie was here, we made the playhouse, which is excellent. We've had a great fun with it. Then we go for a cup of tea, shall we? So Sophia's first reaction was flowers, and then playhouse. Hello! Hello!
Now Lisa is longing to get on with her next project, widening her flower border. She's made a good start by stripping the turf, and now she's ready for some advice from Anne-Marie.
Well, looks like you've been busy.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Why have you decided to do this?
I've been desperate to widen this border because that border has been stressing me out since I've been here. It's far too small, so at last I've widened it.
So it sounds like you know what you want to put in there.
Well, I do like cottage garden plants. I just tall structural plants, lupins, red hot pokers, that sort of thing, really.
Yeah. So do you like staking and deadheading and feeding and watering and?
Not really, no.
Yeah, I mean, that is a lot of work, actually, to be honest. To keep it looking good, you need to regularly feed it, water it, make sure the plants are in tip-top condition. Yeah. You've got to really plant things that will do well in this border. And I mean, not today, but it usually is really bright when I come here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very hot.
Maybe we should go for something more silver-leafed, you know, something that actually likes basking in these hot conditions. And, you know, things that don't need looking after a lot, you know. And you can leave the seed heads on them and let the things grow and evolve, and all you need to do is split them up when they get a bit big.
So the plan is to start again. Lisa's clearing everything out of the old border while I make a holding bed. Some of what we take out can be included in our new planting scheme of low-maintenance, sun-loving plants, which we're going to go off and choose.
So that's a keep.
When the gardening gets tough, the girls go shopping. We're at the Royal Horticultural Society Spring Show. One of the many shows they hold throughout the year in their Westminster halls.
I really like that one.
It's all elegant like you, isn't it?
Oh, very elegant.
Swish and elegant.
The idea is to have a good look around for the low-maintenance plants we need that will fit in with our silvery colour scheme.
Look, these are great, aren't they?
A cottage garden.
Look at these artemisias, that's what we need, some of that sort of colour. Hello, we're sort of looking for a really sunny border, really, isn't it? In fact,
Well, basically anywhere to about here on the display.
it's nice to see that you've got more than just the purple heucheras here as well.
Yes, everybody's into the purple heucheras. I mean, this is lovely, it's plum pudding. But that one there, raspberry regal with the green leaf, and then it's lovely, tall, upright red flowers, is great. Once the flowers have sort of gone over, they still stay there as an architectural feature, so you can leave them and they look as though they're dried.
I like these.
They're quite good to go in the back of the border because they're out early in the year, and then you can have later summer stuff going over the top of them.
That's a good tip.
Right.
That's
And
a
that
really
way they
good
get
tip.
shaded, which is what they like. So if you've got a sunny border, you can still grow them with something else shading them in the summer.
We'll come back to these later, but there's plenty more to check out, including some bold structural plants.
Oh, Lisa, look, this is what we want.
Oh, I love that.
These are your drama
Really
plants.
nice, yeah.
Cyanara carduncularis. Or cardoon. And that'll get massive. It'll get taller than me.
Oh,
so
wow.
Excellent. Impact.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other things on here that we like as well, isn't there? So I noticed you've got oringiums as well over there, which we definitely want some of those.
Well, you mentioned that you were into sort of sunny, well-drained spots.
Yeah.
Oringiums, of course, are classics for that. I mean, they're Southern European natives.
Gorgeous.
That's a perennial.
So perennials, do they come up every year, or how does that work?
Keep flowering. As long as you keep them well fed, they'll continue to show for years to come.
So far, so good. But there's still a whole family of plants that's ideal for Lisa's dry conditions.
So we've got your architecture plants, haven't we, with the cynaras?
Yeah.
And we've got lots of fillers and some ground covers, but we need some texture.
Grasses.
And these, we've got to have them. There's loads of them.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
What do you
Beautiful display.
fancy?
And I love the junkers, but I don't think
No, it needs
suitable,
wet
is it?
ground.
Yeah.
Really
This
nice.
is pretty, but again, we're
It's
not
quite
sure, are
slow
we?
growing that, and
Yeah.
we're a bit impatient as to, aren't we?
Quick and easy.
I think these are brilliant. They don't even take
These
much
ones?
looking after
Right.
either. Yeah, I mean, this is
Right.
great. This is a Helictotrichum, which I can hardly say. And that one
Colour
goes
scheme,
with our
yeah.
scheme, doesn't it? All the colours.
Yeah.
Decisions have been made. Now we just need to round them all up.
Excellent. Any more?
Cheers. Well, that's the last three. We're going to have to get a taxi.
That's if we can afford one.
Well, we did well, didn't we?
No, the beautiful plants.
But we've still got to get that soil prepared, haven't we?
Yeah.
Our sun-loving selection all need good drainage, so Lisa and I dig in plenty of pea gravel and compost to improve her rather heavy soil.
So, I can start laying the plants out. I think we'll put our big sort of drama focal point plants in first, and then we'll put all the other little ones around and about them.
Okay.
But we'll leave them in their pots because then we can shuffle them about until we're completely happy with how we've laid them out.
Right, okay now.
Yep.
We've bought at least 3 of each plant, but rather than dotting them all over the place in a bitty way, we're placing them together in larger groups.
I'm going to move everything away from this cyanara here because it grows massive and it'll just completely engulf everything else. I feel happy with that, do you?
Yeah. I can't believe how many plants we've got, actually.
It's good, isn't it?
Surprised.
Right, let's get planting.
Just a small handful of bone meal and a good drink of water is all that's needed now. Lisa's old border was too narrow and everything was struggling to survive. Now she's got the right combination of drought-resistant, sun-loving plants, which will pretty much look after themselves.
I think that started you off.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave you to this.
Okay.
And you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
This is the nice job, isn't it?
This is my last visit to Bryony Jacqueline's garden in North Norfolk, where we've been hard at work for the past 6 weeks. We've cleared and replanted her pond, added wildflowers to her driveway, and opened up her front garden with herbaceous borders and a new lawn. But I'm not the only one who's been lending a hand in the garden. Whenever possible, Bryony enlists the help of her children.
They say, oh, kids hate gardening, but you've got to find jobs that they like doing, jobs that are meaningful. It's no good saying, you know, do the weeding, because plants and weeds look just the same to kids. So you've got to give them tiny little jobs that they can achieve.
I like planting flowers because then the soil gets on my hands and then I get all dirty. Sometimes me and Helena cut the heads off daffodils, and sometimes there's earwigs inside, and sometimes I go like that.
Bryony's eldest daughter, Freya's big project, is the herb garden, which she began 3 years ago when she was 9. She wrote it all up as a school assignment, and she's continued working on it ever since.
What are you doing?
I'm digging out some of the tarragon, because tarragon's quite a tall herb and that's meant to be further in the middle, because our design was that we have smaller things around the edges and we have them going upwards into sort of like a pyramid shape. The herb's getting taller and taller with a crab apple in the middle.
And tarragon spreads terribly, doesn't it? But I mean, this is an awful lot of herbs just for cooking.
They're not all for cooking. We use some of them for helping cure colds and stuff.
How do you use those?
Well, with sage, you infuse it and use it as a throat gargle.
Does it work?
It works in about 10 minutes.
The only remedy for Freya's herb garden is regular maintenance, as wild plants like tarragon self-seed and spread like weeds.
Now, I see you've got this lemon balm, which in my garden is a real thug. Do you want to get rid of it, or are you happy to let that take over?
I think we should get rid of it, because there's an alchemilla here in between them, and that's getting throttled.
Look at the way the water hangs on the leaves.
I know, I like that.
Very beautiful. And what do you grow the alchemilla for?
It cures diarrhoea and boils.
Well, that seems to be a very good reason why you should grow it.
What do you want to put in there now?
Some bergamot, Mum.
If you put all 3 in, you'll have a good show.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So did these come from seed or cutting?
That was cuttings taken in the autumn. I do cuttings of quite a few things to make sure they overwinter all right.
Oh, it smells distinctly orangey. Orange peel.
Used in olden times for relievance of a trapped wind.
You put it so nicely.
Shall we put this mullein in, Freya?
Yeah, about there, I think. Somewhere there.
Well, these mulleins will go really, I mean, this will be up here, won't it?
Yeah, fabulous plant.
Yeah.
Did you know that what the monks used to do, they grew lots of mullein and they cut it off at about there.
Yeah.
And then they set light to it.
Why?
To use as torches.
Have you tried that?
No!
We could try it.
I have. I've tried that and it didn't work very well. I was really disappointed, and I got my children around and said, look, OK, here, this is what the monks did, lit the thing. Absolutely nothing happened. It didn't work at all. Unimpressed.
They have so much natural oil in them, that's the idea, that you ignite the oil.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, Bryony and I began work on the roundel garden, which she designed herself in a series of concentric rings. We marked out the circles and tried them for size. Then we stripped off the turf and planted the centre circle with box. Now, to complete the formal design, Bryony wants to plant up 4 additional beds in a totally different style.
So you've taken all the turf off then?
Yeah, and actually the topsoil as well. Slightly different method this time. I thought it was going to be easier, but it wasn't. I rotivated it, loosened the top, and then took it all off.
So you've got, as a result, very little topsoil.
Yeah.
Rough old subsoil.
Yeah, I've really reduced the fertility.
For these wildflowers.
Yeah. Now, this is going to be in complete contrast to the roundel garden. So what I'm looking for is a complete difference in texture. I've been potting up weeds.
You've got buttercup. which I dig up by the barrowload and throw away.
Well, you know, weeds are just misplaced
Herb
plants. Herb Robert.
Which in our London garden just grew everywhere.
Yeah. We just set them out on the top. If we run out, I've got a few more up at the house.
While gardeners all over the country are trying to get rid of their weeds, Bryony wants 4 beds full of them. This will provide a striking change to the lawn for anyone going up the drive.
OK. I think that's good enough for sowing, don't you?
Oh, it looks good. Let's have a look at this seed mix. So that's the quantity. For 1 square metre, it's 3 grams.
And what's in it?
Oh, all sorts. Basically, the weeds we've got here, so it's meadow cranesbill, feverfew, meadow buttercup, that kind of thing.
You've got the sand there. Is that just simply to make it go further?
Yeah, so we can see where we've been, really,
Right.
like a carrier.
I'll mix that in with that. Don't want to waste a precious seed.
No, absolutely not. Shall
Go
I
on,
just go
you
for
do
it
it,
then?
you do it. I'll watch. I'd keep it really low, yeah.
Within a few weeks, these seeds will have germinated, and by July, Bryony will have a remarkable new garden feature.
Well, I hope to come and see it, because I shan't be back before then, that's for certain.
Can't take the pace.
Well, you're such a hard taskmaster. But I do want to come back and see this garden later.
Good. There'll be lots to see, lots of changes.
After the break, Carol Klein is back in Devon, talking about the sex lives of fruit trees with Adrian and Debbie.
Welcome back. Now, at this time of year, everybody's cutting their grass like mad, and there is a temptation just to ditch the grass cuttings, because when you put them on the compost heap, they turn into a horrible green slime, no use to anybody, which is a waste, because if you add straw, which is ideal, about 50-50, and just fork it all in, and that'll turn into good, lovely, rich compost. If you can't get straw, try using cardboard. I've been doing this the last year, and it does work really well. You just scrumple it up, put the grass directly on top of it, and then build the heap up like that. You can also use paper, but when you do so, you must scrumple up each individual sheet, which can be a bit of a pain. Put the grass cuttings on top of that, leave it for about a year as part of your general compost heap, and all that goodness can then go back into the garden. Now, Carol Klein is back in Devon, visiting the off-duty police officers, Adrian and Debbie.
Adrian and Debbie Taylor are exceptionally hard workers. They both have to cope with demanding jobs, as well as looking after baby Emily, but that doesn't stop them spending every spare moment in their garden.
Okay. Yeah.
Last time Carol was here, they cleared the stream at the bottom of their garden and made a start planting up the bank above it with wild flowers. Since then, Adrian, the eternal bargain hunter, has added his own special touch.
We wanted to show you what we've been doing since you were last here.
Yeah. What next, honestly?
It was a case of compromise. I wanted real ducks and Debbie didn't want any ducks, so...
We got plastic ones instead.
Oh, look at that. You daft bear. But look at that bank, how much you've done.
Looks lovely, doesn't it?
Those forget-me-nots are just beautiful. Isn't that lovely, that combination of blue and yellow? So what we're going to do today, then?
We need your advice about the orchard today.
Yeah?
We've got some squirrels up there as well.
What, plastic ones?
Yeah, I've got a job lot.
This is the orchard.
It is.
Yeah. It's more of like a mixed woodland really, because we've sort of picked trees up sort of willy-nilly.
Yes, and put one on each corner. They're very dotty, aren't they? I mean, I can see a meagre cherry, a little pear, and 2 damn great big aces.
They were a bargain. They were a bargain.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're beautiful trees, but they're just not suitable for an orchard, are they? They're going to grow immense. And I think, really, if you're going to turn this into a proper orchard, you've got to do a lot of careful thinking and probably take some very drastic action.
Yeah.
I think I know just the place.
Oh,
great.
Lead on.
I'm taking Adrian and Debbie to Rosemore, 35 acres in North Devon and one of the most useful showcase gardens in the country. There's a wonderful variety of planting, including a collection of fruit trees, which is an inspiration for anyone planning an orchard. Come on, I really want want you to have a look in here. Look.
Oh, wow. Isn't
It's part of a cottage garden, but it's a real orchard. And this is the sort of thing you could have too.
Oh, yes, please.
This gives you some ideas, doesn't it? And what about this underplanting?
I know, isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah.
Look at those fritillaries, aren't they lovely?
And they'd be absolutely perfect in your kind of conditions. They'll seed themselves everywhere.
Oh, lovely. It's something I've always wanted.
Yeah.
The apples aren't flowering yet, but against a south-facing wall, there's a pear tree in full bloom.
Look at this. This is a fan-train pear. But isn't it beautiful?
Look at all that blossom, it's incredible.
Yeah. They're growing it against a wall because really pears don't like a cold, wet site.
Right.
You know, they need the back against something warm if they're growing in this part of the country.
Right.
So perhaps not pears in your garden. I mean, apples are going to do tremendously well there, I think. But you're not going to be able to grow one on its own. They tend to be self-sterile, so they need different varieties around to make sure that pollination takes place. Otherwise, you don't get any fruit. So they need partners, really.
Just like us.
Yeah, except rather than 2, you need at least 3. I don't know what you think about that.
We'll talk about that, don't we?
What about self-pollinating ones?
Well, they're all right, but they never give you a very good set. You never get as much fruit on them as you do if you've got cross-pollinators.
Right.
And the other thing you've got to take into consideration is how big your trees are going to grow. And if you look over there, can you see these funny knobbly bits here?
Yeah.
All apple and pear trees are grafted onto a rootstock, and it's the rootstock which determines the eventual size of the tree.
We can't have anything too big because Lou's only short, so...
Thank you.
Let's get a box to stand on when she goes picking her apples.
I should say in your garden you want 3 different varieties on a sort of medium rootstock, because you've got plenty of room, but you don't want anything too ginormous, do you?
No.
Now that we've seen how it's done at Rosemore, we're sending Adrian off to buy some apple trees, while Debbie and I take some drastic action on the orchard area back at home. To make way for Adrian's new purchases, we're digging up all of the existing trees, taking care to lift them with really good root balls.
You got it?
Yep.
Still new. That's the last of them.
Hi, I'm back.
Hello. Hi.
Let me introduce you to Katie, a new addition to the family.
Is that the variety of apple?
Yeah, variety of apple.
Yeah? Where'd you meet her down the garden centre?
Yeah, got 2 more in the car as well.
Debbie finds a temporary home for the old trees, while Adrian and I unload everything he's bought.
I've got Katie. Who have you got?
I've got Discovery.
And I'm Sunset.
Oh, are you? That's the one that's a bit like a Cox's orange pippin, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never had one, but apparently Cox's don't do very well down here, so a chap from the nursery said that this would be similar, but would do well in this climate.
Right. And what rootstock are they on?
It's a medium rootstock, so they shouldn't go too high, but they should all flower at the same time, so they should all pollinate one another.
Right, and you should get a really good crop of apples.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So the first thing we want is a 3-foot hole. That's an absolute minimum, and we ought to skim off this turf first of all.
Yeah.
So if we just do it in slices. You need to heat this place completely clear of any sort of weed until your roots really get established. Right, I think what we need to do now is dig a whole lot of this out and mix it up with some of that proprietary planting mix we've got. Bit at a time.
Okay. You tell me when. Sorry, Debs, I've got it.
It's like cake mixture, isn't it? Come on.
The planting mixture is similar to the compost the trees are grown in, and combining it with the soil will help the young trees to establish themselves.
Nice big spadeful in there.
A sprinkling of bone meal will also get them off to a good start.
You're the only one who's wearing gloves, that's brilliant.
Oh, look at that.
Lovely root system. So bung it in the hole, Deb. There's one really important thing we've got to do, and that is stake your little tree. A lot of people don't bother staking trees, but you're on a windy site and you want it to establish well. It would really be advisable, and especially with such a young tree, help it get... Yeah, you could do it upright like that, but I think it might be better if you do it to the side, and then you're against the prevailing wind and it'll support it.
That's great.
That's wonderful. I think I can hear your baby crying.
Yeah, you're doing such a grand job. I'm going to leave you guys and I'm going to go and get Emily. All right?
Right, okay.
Give her a big kiss from me.
Yeah. And me.
See you in a bit.
That looks great. After securing the stake with a tie, it's just a matter of filling the hole with the planting mixture, gently firming it down and finishing off with a thick layer of manure. This mulch is going to do two things. It's going to suppress the weeds and it's going to retain the moisture. And we mustn't cover this rootstock, either with soil or mulch. Now that we've got a system going, it takes no time at all to plant the other two trees.
Wow, haven't you been busy? They look fantastic. Oh, they look really good.
Well, isn't it lovely? You've got an orchard.
And Debbie, before I forget, you know at Rosemore, you always said you always wanted a particular plant.
Yeah.
Well, I have searched high and low for you today. Close your eyes. Little snakehead fritillary.
Oh,
Isn't
that is
romantic?
beautiful. Look at that.
What do you think of that, Emily?
Yes, lovely.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Next week, Anne-Marie is getting a bit bogged down with Mike and Alison, and Carol is carting compost with Diana. And I'm visiting a brand new garden, so I'll see you then. Bye-bye.